Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. It seems like a very popular vacation week around the country. A lot of folks going out of town before schools start again. People in our business do it before football begins, which is coming up soon. So we're going to get a double dose of Pat Evans this week as some of his colleagues have the week off. So we got him today. We got him on Wednesday. Pat, thanks again for coming here on NewsWire. It does feel like that. It's interesting that a lot of people are sort of telling me that they're like looking to get a quick getaway before school starts or fantasy football or the NFL starts. I get it. I understand it.
No, I mean, hey, I'm with you on Wednesday, and then I take Thursday and Friday off. So you're totally right. I mean, it's one of those times of the year, 4th of July kind of too, and then near Christmas where everybody says, you know what, I'm just going to shut down for a couple of days or weeks, and then you're left scurrying when you have to rely on other people like I do to write up stories and stuff. So it's a tough time.
Yeah. Well, it's also a fun time too, because here's what's fun. You're on your DraftKings app, you place a bet, and in the future, you win, but you don't win as much as you thought. What's going on here? DraftKings decides to step in and say, we're getting taxed too much, so now we're going to have to pull back a point or two, 1%, 2%. I mean, they're saying all the right things, and it's not really going to affect you, but I mean, hello, it's my money. It is affecting me.
Yeah, and to fully understand it, I mean, like you said, it's because of high tax rates. It's only in a couple states that they would do this. New York being one, because they charge a 51% tax on gross on the sports betting revenue that these companies make. Illinois just recently upped their tax rate. So this is kind of a reactionary thing by them to say, hold on, we need to make sure we're not paying way too much in taxes, that this isn't viable for us as a business. And on the earnings call on Friday, CEO Jason Robbins even kind of equated it to the fees you see at hotels, the luxury or the whatever tax they call it, to cover the basis of how much taxes they have to pay. I think there's a difference here a little bit because it is a vice industry kind of, and they would only charge it on winning bets, which is kind of interesting. So you place a $10 bet and you win $20, but you're paying, I think the example they were using was 32 cents. And so that's not nothing. I mean, it doesn't seem big by the scheme of things. But it effectively shifts the odds from, I think it was plus 100. Not great at math, but plus 100 to minus 104. Will a bunch of bettors care? I mean, right now it seems like it's a big deal in the sports betting Twitter ecosystem and all that. But if you're just an everyday bettor who's just playing a few bets here and there on the games you're watching, is that really going to deter you from going to DraftKings if you're already an avid DraftKings bettor in New York or Illinois or Pennsylvania? That'll be interesting to see. It seems like it'll roll out in January. The biggest thing to watch, I think, will be, and Jason Robbins even kind of alluded that, hey, this makes sense to us, so I think it'll probably make sense to the other companies. Will other big sports books follow suit? Today, BetRivers came out and said they will not, that they like that their customers come first, and they will not be charging any sort of extra fee to cover taxes. Flutter, we'll see, which owns FanDuel, will be next week. We'll see what they do. Of course, that's the biggest competitor. It's really an interesting situation, and it'll be fun to watch kind of how this shakes out. Will DraftKings say, whoa, this doesn't make sense? Again, Robbins said last week on Friday that it'll take a lot to make them drop this fee. Again, it'll be interesting to see if they are the only ones that do this, or if other companies see it and say, oh, well, they're doing it, we might as well do it. And then, of course, how the bettors react. If there's not a huge pushback ultimately, you have to wonder, because again, going back to kind of that hotel example, even though they're completely different industries, how often do you look at a hotel bill and complain about those extra couple dollars on the receipt that they charged you that were not in the initial room fee? So I don't ever do that, but that's me. Maybe I should. But a lot of things to kind of keep in mind moving forward. Robbins kind of also thinks that this might cause some public cries to the lawmakers to shift taxes back. But I'm not sure that's a shoo-in either, because the lawmakers already set these taxes and said, this is your industry, this is what we're taxing you, figure it out. Lots of things up in the air, but certainly a very news newsy subject that has taken the industry by storm.
Yeah, and we'll see if FanDuel, MGM, Caesar, some of these other companies follow suit. If they don't, Pat, I would guess that bonuses aside, people may shift their money in the long term over to other sites that aren't charging the surtax. But I guess we'll see. All right, Arizona, we got some news updated this morning. 2 new sports books opening up in that state. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so we talk about Arizona every once in a while, and it's a very kind of revolving door in that state, honestly. They opened in September 2021 with 18 sports books. 10 were partnered with tribes, 8 were partnered with professional sports books. We've had a bunch of sports books fall off and pull out of Arizona, including Fubo Sportsbook, Twin Spires, Betway, Unibet. There's Sahara Bets, which was partnered with the Coyotes. That was their only state. So there's been a lot of companies that have come and gone in Arizona. There's currently about 15 licenses, including the 2 that were issued on Friday. That was Panatech, which is partnered with, I'm going to switch them up because, of course, I don't remember my story. I think Panatech was with San Marcos Apache Tribe, or San Carlos Apache Tribe, I'm sorry. And then what was the other? Yeah, so Sport Trade with Fort Quinchan Tribe. Sport Trade is an exchange company that also has a sports book. Their exchange is not really accepted by regulators anyway, so it is just a straight sports book, I think, in New Jersey and Colorado, and now they'll be in Arizona. And then Panatech is just a B2B supplier, so you might see it will be a white label sports book down there in Arizona. So we've seen a couple successful white labels, especially in Arizona, where you've got a Desert Diamond branded sports book that gets a couple percentages in market share, which nothing to sneeze at. Arizona is a tough market. 4 companies control 85% of the handle. Of course, FanDuel and DraftKings, but also Caesars and MGM, and then Bet365, which just entered the market recently because, again, it's just a revolving door. They've had people come and go. They've kind of picked up about 6%. They're ahead of ESPN Bet and Fanatics. So just a really fun kind of market to keep tabs on because it's new coming and going sports books and kind of an interesting setup with the professional sports teams and tribes controlling the licenses and how those all shake out with, who's coming and going.
Let's wrap it up with some potential for placing limits on sports bettors. This is a hot topic right now in Massachusetts, Pat. Do you think this ends up happening?
That's why they're talking about it. I think, we kind of joke internally, Massachusetts is by far the most active regulatory agency. They have meetings galore. They talk about everything. And they've had a limit conversation before because, they hear the public outcry of, hey, we're being limited. We don't want to be limited. But no sports books took part. The sports books now say, hey, we'll take part in a roundtable. So they'll be having a meeting soon and kind of talking about it with the operators on how and why they limit people and how, maybe to stop it. Again, who knows? There's just a big discussion. But Massachusetts is always a regulatory market to watch because they're so on top of kind of the issues in the market.
All right. Well, Pat, great stuff as always. I'll see you back here on Wednesday as you join us once again this week. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks as always, Craig. See you in a few days.